Welcome to the PR Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Meredith Milholland, and today I'm joined by none other than our special friend, Keli Rabon.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I'm honored to be a guest.
Yes, thank you for joining us. I kind of just wanted to take today just to hear about your story and starting off with your background and how you got to where you are today.
So for about 12 years, I was an investigative reporter working in TV all over the nation. So everywhere from Pascagoula, Mississippi, shortly after Hurricane Katrina, to Memphis, Tennessee, Denver, Colorado, Austin, and
around the world.
Houston. Yeah, it feels like I've been all over the place, but primarily as an investigative journalist. So, some may think, gosh, you're an influencer now. Isn't that the opposite end of the spectrum? But really, when you boil it down, they're so similar because at the end of the day, as an investigative journalist, you're trying to share some important information with your audience and perhaps even shape the way that they think about a topic. And those are the same skills that I use as an influencer or a social media content creator.
So how did you make that shift? Or when did you, what spurred you on to do that?
So I left the TV business because it just wasn't like it used to be in the good old days, right? And, I wasn't able to really focus on the in-depth, meaningful, law-changing stories that I loved working on. And so I thought if I can't do that, then I don't want to continue to waste my talents and time and take time away from my family. So I was starting my little family at that time and had an opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom. But oh my gosh, when I would hear from people, isn't it so wonderful being just a mom? That was like nails on the chalkboard for me. Just because I was so used to being a hard worker and, living my passion. And so I thought, what is something that I could do that would allow me to have a flexible schedule, use my creative energy, but also be available for my family? And I thought, okay, I've been kicking around the idea of blogging, and I already love to share and talk about my day-to-day, and I love giving people tips and tricks and things like that. So maybe this whole influencing thing is something. And so I, right after my now 5-year-old was born, I had a friend who's a fellow influencer who said, Keli, just do it. Quit talking about it, just do it. And so I set up my camera and my tripod in my backyard and just started taking some pictures and posted them, and that's kind of where it all officially began.
And here you are today,
here we are
doing
today.
Amazing things, and we love working with you. And I know a lot of other people do too. So, kind of talking about your content, and there's so much going on in Houston. How do you choose or focus on what you're posting, or what does your posting schedule look like?
My posting schedule could be a little more scheduled, I'll be honest about that. But, so goes life. And I think that my audience appreciates and understands that because they're busy, whether they're busy moms or just lead, hectic lives or just have, Instagram is life for me, but it's not necessarily life for everybody else.
Understand.
So I try to give myself some grace in that standpoint. But let's see, posting schedule, it's
up in the air.
Stories, it's a little up in the air. But how do I pick partnerships and things like that? I tend to think about it as, what do I love? And that's why it is always so organic to me, is what do I love? What am I willing to try that's maybe outside my comfort zone? And it's just such a joy to be able to share, whether it be hidden gems or things that people have always wanted to try or experience with my audience, and try to give them that almost firsthand experience.
Absolutely. One thing I love about your content, and you in particular, is that you obviously share, the fun, glamorous side of Houston, the new hotspots, but you also share the really raw, vulnerable stuff, which I think is really hard to find, and people don't like sharing that. So I love that you do that.
Thank you. It's important for me, no matter what I do in life, to be authentic. And to be true to myself. And I think as long as you are living from a place of authenticity, then you can't go wrong.
Absolutely. And then talking, I mean, we're working at a PR agency, so how has, you've kind of grown this platform and, you're so many PR agencies in Houston. How does partnering with PR agencies and how's that helped you?
It's helped me immensely. I mean, I know that whether I'm trying to make a connection with a business that I can tap you guys for, hey, who's on your Rolodex that might fit this concept that I have in my mind, but that I can also support you in helping to get the word out about your businesses and ultimately help my audience by, cueing them in to something, someone, somewhere that they haven't heard of before.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've kind of talked about this a little bit, but, kind of authenticity in your content. How do you just make sure that kind of that keeps going? Like you keep the ball rolling with, making sure that you align with certain brands or create this certain content, but it all just kind of falls under this umbrella. And how do you just kind of keep that going?
I think about it as you're only as good as your latest recommendation, right? And if you hope that you never give someone a bad recommendation or they have a bad experience, right? But inevitably, they're going to think about, hey, I heard about this place from Keli. And so I always want to just make sure that something is genuinely approved by me and that I can feel 100% endorsing it before I share it with my audience. I mean, and I also will, if I don't have a good experience or a product doesn't work for me, I mean, I candidly share that with my audience too. But I just think that that's like trust is the most valuable currency.
Agreed.
And you can gain it a lot easier than you can regain it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I know you started 5 years ago with your tripod in your backyard, but I think the influencer sphere, I don't know what to call it, industry has changed so much, even the past 5 years. How would you, like from your lens, how has it evolved and what do you expect in the future?
It's amazing how many people have a voice. Frankly, everyone has a voice now, and I think that is a beautiful thing. It also can create, I'm sure for businesses, quite a challenging situation at times when maybe someone who either has a big following or doesn't have a big following gets a word out and it just catches fire. I just heard something on the radio this morning. It was talking about Eminem's restaurant. Did you hear this?
No, I haven't.
Eminem's restaurant in, I guess it's Detroit. I think that's where he's from. But he must have this Mama's Spaghetti or something like that restaurant. And they equated the spaghetti to like worse than a lunch, like kid lunchroom, school lunchroom spaghetti.
And it's coming to us.
It's made it all the way here, right? I mean, I heard it on the radio this morning because, of course, I couldn't use my cell phones with the cell phone outage.
It's been out.
But so, I mean, it just goes to show that, a review with a little, kitschiness to it can really take fire. And so,
And you add TikTok in there, and TikTok, who knows what is going to show up on someone's page.
Right. So it's like everybody has to be on their best behavior at all times. You got to put your best face forward
all the time,
every day. So again, when you're living with authenticity and you have a great product and you can stand behind it, then I think you're setting yourself up for success.
Yeah. And then what advice would you give to aspiring content creators?
Just do it.
Get out there.
I mean, that was the advice that my friend Margaret Rojas, Style the Girl on Instagram, had given me 5+ years ago, and truly, that's what it was: is just get over the fear. Don't overthink it. Just start doing it, and you'll be amazed once you get in the rhythm of it and you let your creativity kind of fly. You'd be amazed to see what you can do.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that initial fear. They're like, oh, what are people gonna, like all my friends, like what are they gonna think? it's embarrassing, but like once you flip the switch, it's just, you know, like wildfire.
Sure.
It can take off.
It can. I mean, I also say to like be respectful if you're in a restaurant, because not everybody wants bright cell phone lights in their face, okay? But, you know, as long as you're leading from a place of authenticity and a genuine heart and a desire to create and share, I think that you're setting yourself up for success.
Absolutely. Well, do you have any parting words for us today?
I just appreciate so much, you know, your willingness to work with digital content creators and influencers, recognizing that, you know, this is the future, this industry is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But also kind of sifting through to be able to target.
Yes.
Exactly. Because, you know, I did a little PR work in the fall, helping a med spa. And so it was like I got to be on your, like in
What
your
do you
seat.
think?
Oh my gosh. Right? It is a lot to wrangle people around to get them to respond, you know, because we are being bombarded with so many different opportunities all the time. But to get people in, all right, you know, do you have any other questions? Do you think you're going to post? You know, hey, here's your code. You know, I mean, and so it is a ton of work. So I have so much respect for the work that y'all do, and I appreciate the respect that you have for the work that we as content creators do.
Absolutely, and we all work together. And I think, you know, kind of going back a little bit, like PR in general has evolved too. It was, you know, originally just media, press releases, writing, and then, you know, we enter social media and then influencers, and so when we look now holistically at a campaign, we have to include everything. And you're always like on the top of all of our lists.
Thank you. Well, let's keep it that way.
Yes, it will be kept that way because it's just, I mean, it is like such a critical component, and, you know, we just appreciate y'all so much, and we hope that, you know, just keep the relationship going and just respecting each other. It goes such a long way. So we really do appreciate you as well.
Thank you. Well, it's an honor to work together with you, and I appreciate you for having me here today.
Yes. Well, thank you for tuning in to today's podcast. Be sure to stick around for our next episode.